Some people have a complete misunderstanding about the term loud pipes save lives. Now I know this because of the strange comments I get, the emails I receive whenever I talk about this subject. So I'm going to clear up some issues to help you understand this, and we're going to have a look at a loud system on a friend's bike. Not as loud as straight pipes, but loud enough to sound good and loud enough to make drivers aware that you're there. Now I better put on my disguise because what I'm going to say today is going to upset a lot of people. Obviously, being pro-loud exhaust goes against the current agenda of the three-letter organisations that are trying to take over the world, in particular the one that's concerned about the weather. And now even Chrome cops the treatment. It's environmentally unfriendly. So this is where we're headed. They're out to get you unless you get them first. Can't say that. And then, of course, I'm literally going to see if our loud exhausts can wake the dead. And I don't want to be recognised by any ghosts. The Harley-Davidson community has its own much loved and favourite ghost. That's Nicholas the Ghost Rider. If we're lucky, we're going to bump into him today. That's stupid. Back to the normal program.
Takes control of me. You make me crazier than a lunatic. Liberate, liberate, don't forget me that way. It's a different taste.
Hi, my name's Eamon. Welcome to the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Support the channel. Check out the website. Grab yourself some great supporter gear like this hoodie with a long sleeve t-shirt that Eric's modelling for us. Check out Eric being a model. He's got the old not dead long sleeve on, looking fantastic. Both Eric and I have full exhaust systems on our bikes, but we do have mufflers on them. So it does take the edge off the noise, the loudness of the bikes, and they're not quite as loud as a bike with straight through pipes. And I'm saying that because to have a loud pipe saves lives bike, you don't actually need to be super noisy. You just need to be loud enough to be heard by drivers in cars. Now the juvenile in me still appreciates a super loud bike that blasts the bejesus out of shop alarms as you go by, but you know, I'm getting a bit older. I've had lots of super noisy years on bikes. I've settled for mufflers and the bike is still loud enough. Now Eric's bike's a lot louder than my bike. He's done a lot more work to the engine on his bike. A 128 kit that's bigger and ported cylinders, so there's more airflow. An aggressive cam, a larger throttle body, larger injectors. I think he's running at 150 plus horsepower. Similar in torque, so his bike really goes. Now loud pipes save lives, and one of the loudest pipes, or bikes, out of the circle of friends I've got is Eric's bike. Yeah, give it a rev. That's loud, I should have brought earplugs. All right, so let's compare that to my bike. Now that's a completely different sound. My bike is a lot quieter. I actually think my bike's pretty loud, but nowhere near as loud as Eric's bike. All right, so take this with a grain of salt, because I'm not a mechanic. When you hot up your engine, you're creating more compression, so there is either faster or more gases that are expelled. So I guess there's a bigger explosion and that creates more noise. When you're hotting up a Harley, you really notice the difference when a standard Harley, even if you change the exhaust system, and a hotted up Harley, because the hotted up Harleys are a lot noisier, irrespective of what exhaust system you've got. So what actually creates the noise when that gas is being expelled, I think, it creates sound waves, and the sound waves are colliding with probably the atmosphere or other gases that are probably at different speeds. So that collision is what's going to create the noise. But I'm no expert, so do your own research. Don't do your own research, there's no point, it's boring, just accept the fact that they're noisy. Right, so what do you think of your 128 kit?
So you amazing. I couldn't go back. Power Rangers, beware.
Eric's bike goes. So do you think you use all that extra power?
Trying to keep up with you, I do. I also think it's a good safety feature. You know, I've a couple of times where I've had to pull out because someone's done a boo-boo, and I've had to accelerate to get out of danger. So that's really helped as well.
Now that is selling an engine upgrade.
Tell your wives. That's what you tell them. That's how I got mine.
A lot of people think loud pipes are absolutely good for nothing, completely useless. So let's add another useless use to these bikes. Like, see if we can conjure up some ghosts. So here's a big question. What is a ghost? So personally, I think it's an energy imprint of a person who's died, probably under traumatic circumstances. They don't realise they've passed away, and they're either stubbornly hanging on to a particular circumstance, or the shock and trauma of the way they've passed is holding them in a situation. So they're stuck between where we are and where they're meant to go. I can get more technical, but you know, this is a Harley channel and we're just having a bit of fun. Now, Eric's bike, my bike's nice and quiet and within limits. Eric's bike is so noisy that it will wake the dead. And that is why we are at a cemetery. This is how we're going to test the thing. I'll tell you how this happened, right? So we're talking about a particular trip somewhere, and Eric has found us this lovely place that we can all stay, and then at the last minute he says, oh, by the way, it's a haunted house.
Nice.
So I think to myself, oh, do I want to stay at a haunted house? I don't know. Well, Eric loves haunted houses, and then he drops the bombshell that he's got some ghost hunter equipment. Now, and I'm a great believer in ghosts, spirits, and all sorts of supernatural occurrences, you know, based on my prior experience. But I'm not a great believer in technology being able to pick up ghosts. Now, when you watch one of those paranormal shows, they've always got equipment and they're running around and they're finding ghosts and the equipment goes off. So rather than test that in the midst of a horror movie type scenario, sleeping in a haunted house, waking up in the middle of the night, probably Eric throwing things around and scaring the crap out of everybody.
I'll never do that.
I thought to myself, what better way to test it than at a cemetery? So we're using Eric's exhaust to wake up some dead people, and hopefully we'll get a ghost or two. He's got the equipment, which I'll show you in a minute, and we're going to measure and see what we can find. Now, normally I do this at night because at night it's still, and when it's still, it's sort of like you can pick up different signals, because human beings are receptive to supernatural occurrences, but of course, you know, there are a lot of distractions in our lives. So at night, there are no distractions. You can literally feel that the world is still, and you would be better able to pick things up. But I don't know about, you know, it's the middle of winter. Well, it's not the middle of winter, it's nearly the middle of winter. So I don't know about going to a cemetery in the freezing cold, and then of course you've got all the occultists who are doing their sacrifices and ceremonies in the middle of the night, and it gets pretty crowded. Now, it's the middle of the day and there's literally nobody here because the car park is empty. So I'm tipping it's going to be a much better experience, and plus the GoPro doesn't work at night. What have you got, Eric?
This is an EMF meter. Apparently they're supposed to pick up some electromagnetic frequencies from spirits. So let's give it a shot.
From ghosts?
From ghosts.
Yeah. Okay, how does it work?
Well, it picks up on the electromagnetic energy surrounding us. So apparently the spirits are supposed to emit an electromagnetic field, which this should be able to capture, apparently.
So Eric's doubting it as well, and he wants to know if it's going to work or not, and we're under the assumption that if you can't pick up something at a cemetery, then
we debunk the theory that these work.
Possibly.
Possibly.
All right, cool. Right, so we've been revving his bike out the front for about half an hour, and then all these people started to appear, so we thought we'd better stop.
But that should be enough to wake the dead.
It could be, so let's try. Let's go. We're being respectful. We're sticking to the paths. So this is sort of like I'm going for a walk with my boyfriend. I'll cut that out. We're going for a leisurely stroll through the park. All right. Well, is anything happening yet?
Nothing yet, hasn't spiked.
Well, you better explain what that is.
So apparently it's supposed to pick up on phrases, words between all the frequencies. So it's sweeping through all the frequencies constantly. And I don't know, because I think it's picking up some radio chatter.
This is like a police scanner. So say you're hooning, which we don't do, then you scan all the frequencies. Well, you people know all about that, don't you? This is not a police scanner, this is like a ghost scanner. Put in the comments, do you believe in ghosts, or are we just being disrespectful? Right, so Eric's got a couple of interesting apps.
Talk with me.
And you
Do you hear that? Eric's got a couple of interesting apps that I'm not quite sure how they work, because he's got me by surprise with them. I'm going to look it up. But they are supposed to pick up different frequencies.
Do you want?
There you go. And it just said, what do you want? It's supposed to pick up different frequencies and then digitally translate that into an electronic voice. So as I was explaining a particular spiritual concept to Eric, the app, which he had on in his hand, just came up and said idiotic. And now that I'm explaining this to the camera, it's basically coming up with words, random words along the walk. You heard them. What did it say?
Talk with me?
Talk with me, and what else?
What do you want?
What do you want? Great. This is the spot, because we've been walking around and Eric's got his app on and I'm asking him how does this app work, but in this spot, because we've just come back to it, it's going mental. It's told me I'm a sinner, or maybe Eric is.
No. I think it was definitely you.
But what's funny about the app is the words that it's pushing out at us is in response to something we're talking about, and to make it worse, it's completely relevant. So it's giving us the exact sniper from the side answers to our conversation. It's the weirdest thing. It's
actually quite cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and I'd have to now find out how this works. So can we conclude that Eric's exhaust pipe does wake the dead? I reckon we can now after that. Rightio, so even though I'm making fun and light of this whole graveyard ghost situation, doing that for the purpose of this video, I don't actually think that it's something to be toyed with unless you know what you're doing. So for 2 days after filming this video, I did notice a few, let's say, discrepancies in my life. So I had to do some clearing exercises in the middle of the second night to restore the balance. So don't try this at home. But like I said, I got a few interesting emails and comments this week, so let's clear up a couple of things. Now, the term loud pipe saves lives doesn't mean that all by themselves, just by making a noise, your bike is made safe to ride. And for the life of me, why would anyone think that it means that? But that's the type of comment and email that I get. Now, it also doesn't matter if sound goes out the back and the cars are in front. I know, and surely everyone knows, but they don't, that you're not going to hear as much of that noise if you're in a car out the front. But you only need to hear a little bit. Let's say that you only hear 3% and 97% of the noise goes bang out the back. Well, that 3% makes a difference because it's still going to make you louder than a quiet bike. If you don't believe that loud pipes make a difference, just jump in a car and drive around until a noisy Harley comes up behind you in the traffic. You're going to hear it. It's really that simple. Case closed. Now, just because it doesn't work once or for the last 3 times doesn't mean that it's not going to work 100 times into the future. I really need to explain that. Each event is independent of the last and those coming afterwards. They're independent events. Experience after dozens and dozens and dozens of both loud and quiet bike events tells me it works. And last but not least, what about the lovely people who say, well, you just want loud pipes and you're using it as an excuse? Well, yeah, we want loud pipes that sound good. People who want loud pipes have them anyway, and we don't need an excuse. So if you want to dive deeper into this topic, and I don't mean ghosts, I mean Harleys, check out the video that I'm going to link up here. I'll see you next time.
Using all that's left, somewhere in your chest, on your sweetheart hit a mist.